Today, well, not today, but this week, I had an extremely busy week, so I didn't have enough time to get a good game in. Now, why don't I have a good game? It's not because I was too lazy to play a game. It was because I did play 3 games, but in the first game I lost, and I lost pretty embarrassingly. So I don't want to talk about that. And in the second game, well, I won, but it was really due to a stupid mistake that my opponent made involving him self-pinning his own queen. And in the third game, I was in a totally lost position until my opponent made a misclick and sacrificed his queen, so then he had to resign because it was like a mate in 7 or something, I can't remember. So all I now have is a daily puzzle that I found on chess.com. Now, of course, we're going to get into solving this puzzle. Why do I have the puzzle? Well, first, we look for checks, captures, and threats, right? Now, well, first of all, captures and threats. Well, the knight doesn't have any good threats, so you can't fork anything, so it really, well, for a knight to make a threat, it basically means getting a fork in. And all captures, well, then the rook can take the bishop, but what's that gonna do? You're just sacrificing a piece, and it's probably an attacking piece that's critical for your win. So, well, checks, the most important, obviously. Now, it looks like we don't have any good checks, right? Because, well, if the rook goes to the back rank to check, well, then the rook has that covered. And well, this queen is really the most annoying piece, right? Because it's guarding this long diagonal, the g1 to a7 diagonal. Now why am I saying this is the most annoying piece? Is because if we could just like knock this queen off the board, well then we can get queen to d4 in, and well, if we get queen to d4 in, well, first of all, king f1, that'll be a queen to f2, checkmate. And well, if king goes into the corner, h1, I know I see a little sort of back rank mates, sort of like a back rank matey thing, because if our queen could jump over the rook to get to the opponent rook, that'll be like basically just back rank mate, right? Because he could throw the bishop in the way, but then we're just gonna take it. So we see our problems are the rook and the queen, right? Now, the queen, if you look at it, it barely has anywhere to go, right? Because if we just look at this g1 to a1, the g1 to a7 diagonal that we care so much about, well, the queen can't go to b6 because of our queen, can't go to c5 because of the rook and the knight, can't go to d4 because of the queen, can't go to e3 because of the rook, and can't go to f2 because of the knight. So if we can just attack this queen in some way, the queen is gonna have to leave the g1 to a7 diagonal, right? Now remember that I also told you that if we could just jump over our rook to take the opponent rook, we would surely be winning. So that hints that we also want to get rid of the rook. We said we can do both by just simply playing rook to a3. Now the computer just automatically played rook to d1 because it is the best defense. Now why is it the best defense? Well, again, like I said, the queen can't do anything good on the diagonal, and if the queen takes her rook, then it's off the diagonal again. And like I said, queen d4 leads to forced checkmate. So, well, rook d1, they're trying to take our queen, right? They're trying to make a counterattack, and here we put a nice little last finishing point called Desperado. And here's how it goes. We know that if we're gonna take the white queen, well, then we're gonna lose our queen, right? So if we're gonna lose our black queen anyway when we take the white queen, why don't we get something for it, right? Because Desperado, it's like when a pawn forks your bishop and a knight. Well, you don't just like run away and wait for the pawn to take a piece for free, right? What you do is you take the pawn, right, obviously, because you're still losing a piece, but at least you're getting a pawn for it, right? Meaning you're losing less. And basically, it's the same thing, right? If you take the queen, you lose your queen, right? But if we get something for the queen, like for example, using the queen to take something, well, then we're losing less, right? And we see, well, of course, you want to take the most valuable piece, and well, the most valuable piece, and the only piece we can take of the queen is queen takes rook, and of course he has to take our queen, and then rook takes queen, and we just have solved this hard puzzle.